What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV, aka Darth Apocalypse. So, one of the crazy things about all of these anti-Jordan grifters is, yesterday I did a video about Donatello, as I like to call him, using the KD Warriors as supposedly an example of how the 90s competition wasn't great. I don't even understand how you even make that comparison. It's like saying Elon Musk is a trillionaire. So people weren't rich in the 90s. You see what I'm saying? There were no bigs. These people had no money compared to today. I mean, it's like inflation, apples and oranges. What are you talking about? Like, the cost of living actually was better. The standard of living was better in the 90s today. It was like, whatever, people just make stupid, ridiculous arguments. But, when it comes to LeBron James and his legacy, right? And his legacy is tarnished. We all know it's actually tarnished by all the losing he's done. Yeah, the stats are great and all that, if you want to look at cumulative numbers. But he's 4-6 in the finals, and some of us don't even like to count the bubble ring. That's why you see some of us will say he's 3-6, or he's 3.5-6. But for all of this, he's all-time leader in losses in the playoffs, most finals losses. But aside from that, when you look at the so-called 90s, right? For an era that supposedly is so bereft of talent, LeBron James sure did lose to a lot of 90s players. This so-called lack of talent from the 90s. He sure did lose to these guys. All these players that were drafted in the 90s. He did nothing but lose to them. For instance, in the playoffs, when he was in the Eastern Conference, sure, he had that little lucky run in 2007 against the Pistons, but the year before they knocked him out in the playoffs, 2006 Pistons, right? Look at the 2006 Pistons, which of course is the same team that won the championship in 2004. You look at that team: Chauncey Billups, drafted in the 90s; Richard Hamilton, drafted in 99, the lockout season, right? 98, 99. Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, Tony Delk, Lindsey Hunter, Dale Davis, and Tony McDyess. All these players were drafted in the mid to late 1990s, right? 2007 Spurs, the team that swept them in the finals. Tim Duncan, Robert Horry, Bruce Bowen, Michael Finley, Brent Berry, Jacques Vaughn, Eric Williams. All these players were drafted in the 1990s. The 2008 Celtics, the team that eliminated LeBron and his Cavaliers I think it was in the semifinals. In 7, Kevin Garnett, drafted in 95, Ray Allen, 96, Paul Pierce, 98, Sam Cassell, I think, was drafted in 93, I believe it was. P.J. Brown, I can't remember exactly what year it was. It might have been 96. All these guys were drafted in the 90s, right? But I thought the 90s didn't have any talent when Michael Jordan was winning back-to-back titles. He wasn't going against anybody. They claimed that he was. They make it seem like all Jordan was going up against was Karl Malone, John Stockton, Barkley, and everybody else was just a team of bums, right? But 2010, when he lost, when he had the most inconsequential triple-double in NBA history, when he got eliminated by the Celtics again, right? Made him rage quit, go join a super team Miami. The same spiel. Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, Rasheed Wallace on the board now. An older Rasheed Wallace at that, and an older Michael Finley. And he still loses to this team. And what's becoming embarrassing is We're now in 2010. This isn't like 2003, 2004. A lot of these 90s guys were in their primes. He was losing to these guys as they were getting out of their primes. 2011. When you look at that team, right? You have Jason Kidd, Peja Stojakovic, Dirk Nowitzki, right? And I believe Jason Terry. Where was Jason Terry drafted? I want to say Jason Terry was drafted in 1999. Let's see here. So he was drafted in 1999. So technically, he was drafted in the 90s by the Atlanta Hawks. So you have all these 90s guys, and some of these guys were getting a little bit longer in the tooth. Peja, Dirk, Kidd, all these guys are older, and he's still getting his ass kicked by 90s players. So I thought the 90s didn't have any talent. Then, of course, in 2014, you're a full almost 15 years into the new millennia, and Tim Duncan is still giving LeBron James L's in the playoffs when he and, of course, Kawhi Leonard, young Kawhi Leonard, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili beat the favored Miami Heat in that finals and caused LeBron to rage quit again and go back to Cleveland. So, the evidence is strong that the 90s was so loaded with talent. And for people who might say, oh, well, when Jordan was playing these guys, they weren't in their primes, right? When Jordan was playing these guys, they weren't in their primes. Well, just the thing about that. Y'all know Scottie Pippen wasn't in his prime when you guys give Scottie Pippen all this credit for Jordan's success. You guys know Scottie only averaged 7 points a game in 87, 88. You know Scottie Pippen only averaged 10 points a game his first playoff series playing with Michael, while Jordan averaged 45. But you guys ignore all that. You guys just look at blank stats or wins and losses and say, oh, well, you don't care about who's on Michael's teams. You don't care who's on Scottie's teams. You just look at the wins and losses, and you use that as supposed evidence. Michael didn't win without Scottie. Scottie was a real hero. Scottie was a real game changer. Never mind the fact that Scottie Pippen was not the talk of that NBA draft. Never mind the fact that I strongly believe that if Scottie Pippen stayed with the Seattle Supersonics, he would have been maybe a better version of Derek McKee, and that's about it, right? Something along those lines. He would not have been a Hall of Famer, in my opinion. He'd have been in a Hall of very, very good. Michael Jordan made Scottie Pippen. Before Phil Jackson, coached Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan was already, and I'm talking about his head coach. Michael Jordan was already a 3-time scoring champion. He was an all-star game MVP, multiple-year all-star, a Defensive Player of the Year award winner, already had the playoff record for points in the game, already was averaging nearly 33 points a game for his career, an NBA record, putting up unbelievable numbers, perennial all-star, all defensive team selection. He already had amassed what was, although it was a short period of time, 84 to 89, he already amassed what was considered a Hall of Fame career in itself. If you combine it with his collegiate career, he already had amassed a Hall of Fame career. He just hadn't done enough to be the GOAT yet. But he already had a Hall of Fame career. Phil Jackson was a nobody. Phil Jackson was coaching in Puerto Rico, if I'm not mistaken. When he came to Chicago, when he came to, I believe when he came to his interview to be the assistant coach, he had Hawaiian shirts and shit on. He had a beard. You look like a fucking hippie. But, another thing, for a guy in Phil Jackson who's supposed to be the greatest coach of all time, why did you only got one Coach of the Year award? If Scottie Pippen is this all-worldly player that you guys make him out to be, why he never won any MVPs? If he's the greatest defender, he was the best defender on the team, why he don't have any Defensive Player of the Year awards? So anyway, that's all I got to say about it. Tell me what you guys think.